Closed captioning for the Casey Malone Show is sponsored by Hunter Stevens Land Title Agency. Integrity, service, and commitment you can trust.
Oh yeah, Casey Malone is serving up local. It's time for the stories of our region, the tastes, the sights, the sounds, and the people in and around the valley. Get ready for some local flavor on the Casey Malone Show.
Today I bake wild bean brownies, healthy with a hint of peppermint. And I visit Riviera Creek Cultivation Site in Youngstown. They use aeroponics for plant growth. It's like a laboratory with science behind the technology to grow their crop. In November of 2023, Ohio voters approved legalizing cannabis for recreational use. I paid a visit to GLeaf. It's a dispensary in Warren. I wanted to see the sale process and the offerings available for adults interested in recreational marijuana. So when you first enter, it's sealed off. You can't just go right into the facility. And you can have your choice of the medical window or the adult use, recreational, and that is what I will do. And I'm going to hand you my ID.
Did you know what you were looking for today?
You know, I do not. This is my first time ever visiting a dispensary, and I'm really not sure what I would like. Is there anybody that could help me and guide me through the menu?
Yeah, so I'm going to build you a profile and then I can set up a consultation for you to see somebody.
Okay, great. I would like a consultation. That would be great.
There you are. I'm just going to send you back to the waiting room. Somebody will be with you shortly.
All right, thank you. Well, this is Carrie Stan, and she is a regional manager. That's right, for the cannabis company. And she is going to help me with this whole process, go through the different offerings, and just answer some questions about how this whole operation works here in Ohio.
We don't want it overwhelming.
We don't want to overwhelm people. So questions, right? What would I be interested in? Maybe something like a sleep aid to help me with sleep, relaxation at the end of the night, because I've been having a lot of trouble sleeping.
Girl, same.
You know?
So are you looking for more of something that's an edible? Do you want something that you can vape?
I think I would prefer an edible.
So that's going to fall under your edibles. And then we're looking for something for nighttime, right?
Right.
So what we're going to look at is an indica. So let's look at our indica edibles here.
So indica, there's indica and sativa. So indica is more of the relaxation.
Yep. Yes.
All right.
Indica is more of your nighttime. Sativa is more of your daytime.
Okay.
Yep. So this brand here specifically is a microdose brand. So every single one of these gummies in it is going to be 5 milligrams. So that you can even take that in half and go 2.5 milligrams to start.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So that would be, yeah, exactly what I would need.
Yep. So what we'll do is we're going to add this to your bag. And then what we'll do here is we'll confirm your pickup. So they're going to start working on that right now. They're filling it right as we speak.
Okay, so this really isn't a place where then you can go in and just shop.
So this is not an open shop concept state. So like in California or Colorado, where you can actually see all of the product around you, Ohio doesn't do that. Ohio doesn't have an open concept shop plan.
So your recommendation would be go online, really on your site, and look through all the offerings that you have. So how much was in my sleep gummies?
So that was equivalent to a 1-day allotment, and recreational customers are allowed to purchase up to 10 days a day, which is equivalent to an ounce.
Okay, so I could get 10 of those today, and that would equal an ounce.
Yep.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so other than gummies, I can get other edibles like a cookie, chocolate. And then, what do you think the most popular products are? Is
flour.
It is flour.
Hands down
They
flour.
still want the old-fashioned
everybody
weed,
wants the
right?
old-fashioned grass.
And so, does it come in an ounce? All flour.
Big bag, all flour.
Wow. Okay, and like a lid. No.
Most of them come in bags. Most of them are in bags. Sealable bags,
Yeah, I'm trying to think of all the terms, you know, growing up, you know, for all the different things and the difference of it. And then how about vapes?
I would say vapes are probably the second most popular category. Probably leading the way is disposable vapes. So that's usually like a all-in-one unit. It's got the oil and the battery. It's all connected. You can't take it apart, and you just use it and throw it away.
And not just anybody walks in the street and could work here.
No.
If I wanted a job here being a bud tender,
we would totally hire you.
what is the process?
So you do have to be at least 21 to work in the state. You have to go through a federal, so an FBI level background check, and a state, which is a BCI level background check. So you have to go get your fingerprints submitted. Both of those checks get run. You have to fill out some documentation for the state of Ohio, submit all of that. They want to know things such as, your residential history. They want to know which facility you're being hired to work at. You can't just apply to work in the state unless you have a job offer at a location.
And then you take it another step further because then you have to train your employees.
We do. So the state does have training requirements for new hires. All educational material for our bud tenders does have to be submitted to the state of Ohio and approved by the state of Ohio before we can use it as training. We provide about 40 hours of education for all new hires.
Hi, can I see your ID?
Yes. You don't believe I'm not 21?
I said, I just got to check it.
You seem very knowledgeable. You're pretty knowledgeable with all your products, aren't you?
I try to be. If I'm not, somebody else here is, and I will definitely ask. All right. And there you go.
All right,
You're all
thank
set.
you. Excellent. Well, starting with Ohio Medical, how has this transition been, opening up for adults?
Surprisingly smooth. The state did a really good job of setting some groundwork several months in advance. I think there was some frustration at a customer level of the timeline, but from an industry perspective, it was nice to have time to prepare. And then the rollout itself, because they had taken the time to really prepare and have all of their ducks in a row, the rollout itself, we rolled out in 3 days and very minimal hiccups, which is unheard of in this industry.
This is really a smooth operation. It's really professional. And I really think that the people that have been coming through, you're right, they're so diverse and so many different ages. And you really do have a lot of good information and you're really helping the customer understand and get the product that's most right for them.
Absolutely. I think as an industry and as an employee within the industry, we have a duty to be stewards of information. And I think that's what makes the cannabis industry as a whole so mysterious.
Right.
I don't think there's been historically a lot of great access to that information. And so I think it's our job to educate. It's our job to be good neighbors, not just to the customers who are walking through the door, but to our communities, right? Let's educate the communities in which we operate. Let's support the communities in which we operate. We invest all of this energy into our team that supports us, internally with our employees. How do we share that knowledge with customers that walk in for the first time? How do we make it less intimidating? How do we make it less scary? When alcohol prohibition ended, right? People walking through the door for the first time, had no idea what to expect. They had no idea. And I think again, we're in a similar-ish situation where there's just so many people that have zero knowledge or understanding of not just what the regulations are, what the products are, but the impacts that it can have, both, from a financial standpoint, within your community, but also personally, right? What can this product do for me? So I think, again, we have a duty to be good stewards of information, and that's what we're trying to do.
The Casey Malone Show will be right back with more local flavor.
This is GABA Camp, barrier-free camping and nature for our friends with disabilities. GABA Camp is a 501c3 organization. We need your help to grow. Donate to GABA Camp. Giving is living.
It's the perfect gift. Stonebridge Grill and Tavern, the best food in the valley. For every $50 you spend on gift cards, you get a free $10 bonus card. Stonebridge Grill and Tavern, Route 224 in Boardman, and their second location on Route 46 in Howland.
Hi, I'm Robbie Fellman.
And I'm John Stanko from Boardman Subaru, where it's time for the 2024 Subaru Share the Love event.
Now through January 2nd, get a great vehicle and support a great cause.
With every new Subaru purchase, Subaru and Boardman Subaru are donating $325 to your choice of 6 amazing charities,
including our local Second Harvest Food Bank and Akron Children's Hospital,
with an additional donation for every routine service visit.
So come and share the love, only at Boardman Subaru,
just south of Route 224 on South Avenue.
Locally owned, Hurricane Health and Wellness will help you weather the storm of your weight loss struggles. Safe and discreet, our experienced telemed team will prescribe the proper weight loss medication. Powerful weight loss solutions. Hurricane Health and Wellness.
Experience the joy and magic of the holiday season at Arms Family Museum for memories of Christmas past, a Mahoning Valley tradition.
Well, I've been looking forward to meeting Dan Kessler. He is the CEO here at Riviera Creek, and this is a place where you cultivate the marijuana products.
Correct.
And I am so excited to get a tour of this place.
Yep.
But you have been on the ground floor in Ohio.
We've been running since the beginning of the medical program, and now that it's just become adult use, right from the start, we were one of the first, if not the first, to be approved for that program.
So now that we've gone from the medical sales to adult rec, how much more has your business flourished?
Because we're still in an area of the market where we're still using the medical rules, even though we're able to sell to adults 21 and over. So I think as the updated rules are finalized by the state, by the regulators, and we're allowed to sell all the full adult use products, I think at that point you're going to see the market grow even larger. But we have definitely seen growth.
How many cultivators are in the state of Ohio?
So there are about 37 cultivators, 42 processors, and 128 dispensaries. We can only sell within the state. So whatever all these cultivators are growing and producing, we're selling to only the in-state dispensaries because you can't cross over. So if there's too much in one or not enough in the other, you can't do anything about it. It is what it is. Each state is its own mini industry. November of last year is when adult use was voted on. And now it took until August until the first adult use sales could happen. So yeah, we're only a couple months into this new market, whereas a state like Michigan might have been around for probably 5, 6, 7, 8 years in their adult use. Having said that, I would argue that product is much, much better here in Ohio because it is a newer market, so we've had to come up with all these new innovative products, but also because our testing thresholds are so much tighter, the quality of the product and the safety and reliability is much, much greater.
And you're not hydroponic, and you're not aquaponic.
Correct.
You are aeroponic.
That's right, aeroponic.
So, I mean, how many facilities in the nation have this?
There's probably like 4 or 5 in the entire country.
It's
very
so
unique.
Innovative, you know?
It's a really cool process, really cool concept. Our plants sit on a table, and underneath the plant is a root, and those roots are just hanging in air. So that's the aeroponic.
Okay.
And they're getting sprayed directly with the nutrients and water mixture, and that's how they're growing. So it almost acts like an IV. So it's a very, very precise and consistent process, which makes for a consistent product. It starts as a cutting, or we call it a clone.
And so how big would that be? Like,
once the clone grows roots, then it can start its process of actually growing new growth. As the new growth happens and it gets up to just below 12 inches, then we move it into our grow rooms.
And how long until it reaches?
It's approximately 9 weeks of a cycle.
9 weeks?
Until we full maturity and we're ready to harvest it.
But you don't just grow, because you also produce items.
That's correct. So the flower, once it's harvested and it's called post-harvest process, which is ultimately getting it into a flower form that can be sold, that's a product. However, we also take the flower product and process it and turn it into other things like concentrates. So rosin is one product. We also turn it into a rib stick, which is a pre-ground flour that people can buy, and they buy it in smaller increments of 1 gram, which is really cool. In the early next year, we'll be starting a line of gummies. We'll make a solventless gummy that has no bitter aftertaste like cannabis. It will just have the gummy flavor, and that's it. And it'll have all the same infusion that other gummies have without that bitter taste, and that's going to be a really unique, cool product. I'm really excited to launch that.
It seems that, now that Ohio is legalized, at first medical and now adult, do you think there's less of a stigma? I mean, when you tell people what you do for a living, they're not looking at you
8
like
years
a
ago,
drug dealer or something like that.
8 years ago, I definitely used to get,
What do you do?
Yeah, now I think society has also evolved. There are now over 30 states that have some form of legal or deregulated cannabis. I definitely think that stigma is starting to wear off.
I mean, there's a lot of ailments that it really does help.
Oh, for sure.
The glaucoma, you always heard about that.
Yep.
And cancer patients like it because it really helps with appetite
100%.
and things like that.
From our medical side, like I said, we've been a medical producer for years. We get correspondence from patients on a regular basis. You have changed my life. I'm no longer using opioids. I use it for pain management. It's terrific.
Now, in Ohio, you are allowed to grow your own.
Correct.
Up to 6 plants,
Yep.
and then, at 12 a household.
Right, if there's 2 adults.
Is that hurting you?
No, in fact,
the home growers?
Correct, the home growers. So, no, in fact, I encourage it. It's very similar to someone doing like a microbrew or craft brew in their house if they want to do that.
Yeah.
It's kind of an interesting and fun hobby. At the end of the day, it's a lot of work, and it starts to smell and things like that. So I think people might want to try it once or twice. I don't know how long term they might want to do it, but it's a fun hobby, like any type of gardening. We're selling a mass use consumer product versus a home grow is a little bit, it's more niche, call it that.
Yeah, niche. How often are you inspected? Do you have a lot of state regulatory people coming in?
All the time. So there's cameras in and around our facility that are monitored by the state 24/7, both outside and inside, in all the rooms.
Because Ohio is still on a learning curve.
Oh, absolutely, yes. But then we get regulators, all of our inspectors, we get at least quarterly audits, but there's also times where they'll show up unannounced and just, on top of the quarterlies. So we get on a very regular basis, we're inspected, but they also check in on our camera systems very regularly as well.
Like convenience stores and at drive-thrus, there are can-avoid products and stuff like that, and they're like the Delta, or is that in your industry too?
So yes and no. Those products that you can find at vape shops and gas stations and everything like that, they do get you high. So people get confused.
I thought it was just CBD or something.
Well, it's supposed to be. But what happened is once the federal government allowed hemp to be legal and cross state lines, what the hemp companies started doing is they started synthesizing the CBD into basically intoxicating substance. And so now you can go to all these places with zero regulation, with zero testing. You don't know what's in it. You don't know the dosage.
Who's making them?
Who's making it? And more than likely, it's really being made in someone's basement or garage and then being sold and marketed as though it's a real product because they buy some packaging over the internet. The reality is, the only way to really get to know what you're getting is by going to a state-regulated, licensed store. I encourage your viewers, I encourage society to A, not shop at those stores, but B, write to your local representative. These are your state representatives, not necessarily your US, and say these things are a nuisance in my community and it's not good. Most of our names of our strains are all based on Youngstown lore. There are a lot of Idora Park rides we've used.
Oh, the Wildcat. You got a Wildcat?
Wildcat,
Really?
Lost River.
Oh, wow.
Pink Elephant was a local bar.
I remember the Pink Elephant, yes.
Yep.
Oh my God.
So we really try. I mean, we are a Youngstown-based
funny.
company. We really love our Youngstown roots. At the end of the day, we're a brand, and we're a brand that sells consistent, quality medicine, and now not just medicine, but products to consumers. And it's important that that name stands out, and that's exactly what we're all about.
The Casey Malone Show will be right back with more local flavor.
I'm Elizabeth Bernard. For more than 30 years, I've provided our Valley with sound legal advice. My associate Jennifer Rigetti and I will be your legal representatives if you're involved in a car, truck, or motorcycle accident. Don't try to handle it yourself. We'll navigate the red tape of dealing with doctors, medical insurance, and all the obstacles that you'll face. Remember, there are no upfront fees on personal injury cases, and hiring a lawyer does not mean you have to go to court.
Call attorney Elizabeth Bernard, local legal experience for more than 30 years.
Here at Kamara Jewelers, we love our snow.
We love Christmas. We love the music, the sounds, the people. We are super excited to do our snow promotion again.
So this year, when it snows 4 inches or more on Christmas Day, you will get your money back. A couple of years ago, it actually did snow 4 inches on Christmas Day, and we got to give customers their money back.
So we're just hoping for a white Christmas.
We'll get Kamara.
Locally sourced is good, whether it's ingredients or a bank, and that's why my bank is Farmers National Bank. Since 1887, Farmers has remained rock solid through every economic condition. Having a bank with a history of safety, soundness, and conservative management is a must. It all boils down to this. You need a bank that will help you reach your goals. I do too, and Farmers is mine. Farmers National Bank, rock solid.
Golden String and GABA-Camp wish you the happiest of holidays. We wish you peace, courage, faith, and strength. Given is living.
Shop C-Max Northside Appliance in Struthers, the local appliance store that beats big box prices every day.
3 generations serving Youngstown, Ohio, soon to be our 4th.
Well, today I'm going to make for you a very interesting recipe. A while back, I was at a bridal shower and this really nice lady was in from Virginia and we were just talking and it came up, of course, food and recipes. And I guess she's gluten intolerant. And usually I was like, ooh, yuck, you know, you poor people that can't eat flour and all that stuff. And she says, well, you know, actually I have this really great recipe for brownies and there's, you know, no gluten in it. And I call them my wild brownies. And so she sent me the recipe. And it's really good. It's got a black bean base, raw sugar, and it really is a nice recipe. And I made it a few times. Super easy, comes together quickly. And I'm gonna share it with you today. Thank you, Terry McVeigh. And she calls them wild black bean brownies. So let's go over the ingredients and we're gonna make this dish. You're gonna like it even if you're not gluten intolerant. For this recipe, you'll need 1 can of black beans drained, 3 eggs, 3 tablespoons of coconut oil melted, 1/4 cup cocoa or carob powder, a pinch of salt, 3/4 cup of raw sugar or maple syrup, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 2 drops of peppermint extract, and 1/2 cup of milk chocolate chips. So I've preheated the oven to 350 degrees. This is an 8x8 pan, and I greased it with the coconut oil. And to use this in the recipe, I melted the coconut oil, and I'm just gonna let it cool off just a little bit before it solidifies though. So it goes together either in a blender or use it in your food processor because you're gonna need the blades to really mash down these beans. So we'll put the beans in the dish and everything really just goes in. 3 eggs, and then the cocoa powder. You know, it all goes in except for the chocolate chips. The sugar, I'm using sugar in the raw, and I use that a lot. I like that sugar. And then the vanilla and the salt. And I need 3 tablespoons of this. So it's 1, 2, and 3. Now, all I have to do is add the peppermint. This is nice. It kind of tastes like French mint, you know, like the Girl Scout cookies, Thin Mints. It really adds a nice flavor. And all you need is 2 drops. 1, oh, I missed the bowl. Okay, so 1, 2. Might be a little more pepperminty, but it's good. All right, so now I get this on here, and you just let it run. Now remember, I'm gonna taste it in a minute, but really let it run because you wanna break down the beans and you don't want the grit because it's a heavier sugar. All right, I'm gonna take a little taste to make sure everything's smooth. Still a little bit of grit, a little bit longer. Well, now this is done. So just make sure you really blend it because you don't want it to be gritty at all. You want to make sure the beans are broken down and the sugar. And then I have the prepared pan right here. I am just going to pour that in. And we're going to try to get every bit of the batter out of here. So I will scrape it from, oh, I don't even know where to put this thing, the blade. And we'll get it from the bowl. Well, you notice the only thing I didn't add was the chips, and these get sprinkled on top. Now, she called for milk chocolate, but I like dark chocolate, so I'm using those. But it works just as well. So you just sprinkle them all over the top, try to evenly distribute them. And you know, she said a half cup, but if you want more chocolate, I don't think it's gonna hurt the recipe at all. But it really does, you're gonna be surprised. These are a little dense, and they're really good. I mean, I've given them to my friends when they come over, and they don't even, you know, think that there's anything different about these brownies than the ones you get out of the box. So we'll just finish this off. I've preheated the oven again to 350 degrees, and I'll put those in 35 minutes. You want it to start pulling away from the sides, and you want the top to look a little dry. So look, isn't this beautiful? I mean, look how pretty it came out. And I know I should have waited and probably let it cool down a little bit more, but I kind of like it when you get the gooiness from the chips on top. This is really good. And you saw how easy it is and how quickly it came together. And I mean it. It's really dense, really chocolatey. You could probably leave the peppermint out, but I do like the peppermint in there because it tastes like a thin mint cookie. And warm with a little bit of ice cream, this is delicious. I really want to thank Terry for sharing this recipe with me because it is a winner. It's called her Wild Black Bean Brownies, and that will be on my website, CaseyMaloneShow.com. Look this recipe up. You are really going to like it. Cheers.
The Casey Malone Show is sponsored in part by Denise and John York and the DeBartolo Corporation.